Welcome back to Jeeping for Beginners, folks. Once again, my name is Josh, and today we actually have something really cool that we're doing. Now, I don't know about you, but I have a real hard time seeing at night. People say it's because of the brown eyes or that I'm full of shit or whatever the case may be, but because of modern day technology, I've really come to appreciate having these ultra bright LED lights. Why every vehicle doesn't come with them, I have absolutely no idea. So today we are actually going to fix this problem in a JL that we have worked on already in the past, and we are going to be installing a set of LED headlights from Suparee. These things are awesome, and I'm going to get into why they're awesome as we go, but it should improve that nighttime driving by at least 15 to 20%. Or 20 times rather, which would be so much better than it was before. Now, it's not my Jeep, it does belong to a friend of mine, but when I had the opportunity to drive it, when we installed the lift just a few months ago, I tell you what, it drove me insane. I actually reached out to this company to get these lights just so I could fix this problem for her. So, I'm gonna show you the difference on the before and after, and just how easy these things are to install. Guys, it's not complicated. There is no reason to pay a shop to do this. I promise any of you who are do-it-yourselfers can do this at home with just a simple set of tools. So, what do you say? Let's get started. All right, guys, so for the basic tools that you need in order to do this, it's actually really simple. It's gonna be a 10mm socket and a wrench. In my case, I like my little electric ratchet, so I'm gonna use my DeWalt electric ratchet for that. But one 10mm socket, we're gonna use a screwdriver and or a body popper, whichever one you have available to you. And then for the final part of this particular install, we're gonna need a set of wire crimpers and possibly a set of strippers. But that's it. It's actually super simple, super easy, and for most of your do-it-yourselfers, should be able to get it done in less than 30 minutes. All right, guys, so a lot of people get intimidated when it comes to replacing or messing with electrical systems on vehicles. There's one thing I love about the Jeep branded products is they make it so easy and so simple. So all we got to do is get the hood up and get started on taking the grill off. So let me show you just how easy that process is. In order to get the grill off, it's actually super simple. We're not even talking about doing any major body work. We've got just these little plastic clips. There's a total of 6 of them. And all we got to do is pop them out and the grill will actually be released. This is what the screwdriver's for. So let me show you how simple and easy this is. All you do is just put the screwdriver right underneath, lift up the center pin, and then pull out the body clip. And you got to repeat this process for all 6 of them so we can make sure that the hood, that the grill is free from being attached to the front of the Jeep. Now don't throw these away because you are going to have to reuse these when we go at the end of this process to put everything back together. And then don't forget, there is one right on the very end on both sides, just like that. So with that being said, now the grill is actually free. Underneath the headlights right here, there is a metal clip, and across the bottom, I believe there's 5 or 6 other metal clips that simply snap the grill into place. Some people get frustrated and they get a little scared of it because it's plastic. Don't worry. All you got to do is just give it a nice, strong yank on both sides, and that's it. She comes right off, and we'll set the grill aside. Now that we got the grill off, which, like I said, was super easy, now we got to take the factory headlight assemblies out. There is a bolt here, here, and here. That is what your 10mm is for, and it's just 3 quick bolts, and the whole assembly comes out. A word to the wise, you want to hold on to these just in case you need to reuse them to install the new ones. And then just like that, headlight comes out. You got the one factory plug right on the back of the headlight, and you just pull the plug right off, and then she's free. Now we can install the new one, and let me show you what's involved with that.
for the new light that's going to go in there, okay, you'll notice that the actual thickness of this light compared to the one that comes out is completely different. The reason that is LED lights actually generate a substantial amount of heat compared to factory halogen lights. So on the back of the LED, they have built-in heat sinks to help dissipate that heat so the light doesn't overheat. However, by making it a quarter of the size of the factory one, you also create a massive air gap behind the light that will allow that air to flow and, in addition, keep the light cool. Now, unlike the JKs, the TJs, and the older Jeeps that are out there, the JLs and the JTs from 2018 and newer, the lights are actually right and left, and that is based on this bottom bracket here. So you want to make sure before you go and install the light or just jump right into it that you have the correct one. The right one for the right side, the left one for the left side. So this particular one should be what we need to install in replace of this, which we're going to get right to it. Now, on the back of these lights from Suparee, you're going to notice that there's actually two plugs. This one is for the factory plug. All we got to do is just plug this right in, and the headlights are going to work just like they did before. But if you want the halos to work and the blinkers to work and the other features that are built into this light, that is what the second plug is for. And that second plug, they provide you with a secondary module. This module needs to be wired in order for those features to work. You have lead wires to each headlight, and then you've got the wires that we're going to have to connect to the battery and to the blinkers, which we're going to get to in just a few minutes. So it's not as simple as just plug and play, as some would say, because of the extra features that we chose with these particular lights. But that doesn't mean that it's hard. I promise this is actually really simple. So let me show you just how easy it is to plug this thing in. So one thing that I always recommend when it comes to electrical is before you go and bolt everything in, tuck everything away, and get it all nice and pretty, definitely test things out first. So what we did is we took the module and we simply connected it to the battery so we can get power going to it, just to test to make sure that sure enough, the halo on the light actually works. So now what we're going to do is we are going to grab the factory plug and we're going to plug the light in just like that. And do you have your remote on you? We're going to have her turn on the headlights real quick just to make sure that the headlights work. Just like that. Beautiful, right? So now we know that everything actually works. Now we can go through and get it installed, where all we got to do is just attach these 3 points to the 3 points we removed the old one, and the light will be right in place. Now for the actual step of installing the light, not all of them are set up exactly the same way. I have found that the majority of the lights that are on the market reuse the factory hardware simply to attach the light. However, Suparee took this one step further, and they gave you the ability to actually adjust your headlight up and down and left and right so you can dial it in perfectly. In order for that to happen, we've got to install these little springs and screws as part of the hardware that goes in there. So how this works is the spring actually sets in behind where the bolt's going to go, and then the bolt is going to go through it just like that, and then it's going to go into the factory hole. In order not to drop any hardware while you're trying to do this, it's good to have a second set of hands. So if you want to put the bolt through that hole from this direction, the one that's in your hand. There you go. Just like that. Hold that in place. And then we're going to put this one here. And I'll try to hold it as straight as possible if you want to put the bolt through that hole. Okay. Now these should line directly up with the factory holes that are originally there, and it's the same thread, so they should just screw right in. This, however, because of the addition of these springs, is one more tool that's going to be needed, and that is going to be a T15 Torx head. And all we're going to do is just screw that in place. So now that we got this side installed, it's literally just the same steps to get the other side installed. And then we can go through and get the blinkers and the halos hooked up and operating great. So let me get the other side installed real quick. All right, guys, so in order to hook up the halos to the daytime running lights on a Jeep that is not equipped with daytime running lights, we are going to access the fuse panel. This fuse panel is actually directly behind the battery up against the firewall on every JL and JT. What we're going to do is we're actually going to access this fuse right here. This one, which I believe is labeled as F53, is your auxiliary fuse for your cigarette outlet, and it only turns on when the Jeep turns on. What we're going to do by accessing that is we're going to pull the fuse out, and you're going to notice that there's actually 3 ports in that one. Most of these fuses only have 2 ports for this little fuse to go in. Jeep set this up so that if you put the fuse oriented towards the engine, that 12-volt outlet will have power all the time, whether the Jeep is on or not. If you put the fuse oriented towards the outside of the Jeep, then the fuse will only have power when the Jeep is on. So that's how we're going to put it back. What we're going to use is a little fuse jumper. We're going to take the factory fuse that we took out of there, and we are going to snap it right into the bottom of this. That puts the factory fuse right back in place. That's a 20 amp fuse. Now, to run the circuit for the halos, all we need is a 10 amp fuse, which we are going to put in the very top. All right, so we're going to take that and we're going to put that in the top like this. And so now that circuit is fused for the halo and still separately fused for the 12-volt outlet. This end on the module, we are actually going to cut and crimp onto the power cable that came with the module, and then all we're going to do is simply put that right into place just like that, although of course facing the other direction, and we'll have power to the halos. Now, while we're right here, I'm also going to point out that this fuse right here, this yellow 20 amp fuse, which I believe is listed as F107 in your manual, and this yellow fuse, which is listed as F109 in your manual, control your right and your left blinkers. So we're going to use the same devices for the left and right blinker wires out of the module, and we are going to jump this circuit and this circuit the same way we're jumping this circuit, so that not only will the halos work, but the blinkers will work as well. So as you can see, we got the lights installed, we got our halos in. They actually look pretty good. You would think the final step is simply slap the grill back on and we're done. Yes, that's true. However, before we do that, because Suparee made these lights adjustable, we need to adjust the headlights to make sure that we're not actually going to piss off the other drivers on the road. Well, I mean, unless that's what you want to do. I mean, that's what I do. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the Jeep around. We're going to point it directly up against the building, and we're going to see at what height these lights are. This is difficult to do in the daytime. By rights, we should be doing this when it's darker out because it's a little easier. But if you look, you can see this is the left headlight, and up here is the right headlight. So following the lines on this door, the right one is actually a little higher than the left. By rights, the vehicle should be about 6 feet away in order to do this, but we had to get this close because it is daylight out here. This is probably a really good height. So we're actually going to raise this one up till it's about touching that line, which should be just as simple as doing that, maybe a little bit more. And now you can see we're right at that line, and we're right at that line. So these headlights should actually be pretty good. All right, folks, so there you have it. It's actually relatively simple, and although I do tend to attract a whole lot of grease, really, you don't really get that dirty doing this particular job. It's super easy. The whole thing should only take you about 20-25 minutes, and now we've got lights that are at least 10 to 15 times brighter than the factory lights. But to put that to the test, we're going to have to actually take this thing out at night just to see for sure. So we're going to go and do that later on this weekend. I'll put that footage near the end so that you can see just how wonderful these lights are. In the meantime, my name is Josh. This is Jeeping for Beginners. If you haven't done so already, please, guys, please subscribe to the channel and like the video because it helps the YouTube algorithm continue to share this information with the other people who are actually looking for it. If there's any questions that I can answer for you or something that I didn't cover during this install, please don't hesitate to put that in the comments below. If you are interested in these particular lights, these are actually some of the nicest ones I've seen for the JL that's on the market. I am going to put a link in the description down below this video that will take you directly to their website so you can pick up a set for yourself and let me know what you think. So, like I said, in the meantime, this is Jeeping for Beginners, wishing you happy Jeeping, stay safe, and we will see you next time.